Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? Maybe not such a good afternoon after you guys get a chance to see this. I don't know what your perspective may be. I think everyone's going to interpret it differently, but we have a little bit of news regarding a former Seahawk legend. We are going to be seeing him again at least twice this upcoming season. So, the Bobby Wagner free agency saga was playing out over the last several weeks. He was courting the Cowboys, he was courting the Chargers, courting the Ravens, and courting the Rams. And as of less than an hour ago, we have resolution. Bobby Wagner is going to be a Los Angeles Ram. His deal is 5 years, 50 million, potentially worth up to 65 million with incentives and playtime and snap counts, I assume. So Bobby Wagner just locked in the longest deal of his career in terms of years. Not obviously not money, but in terms of years, this is the longest contract he has ever signed. 5 years, 50 million, potentially worth up to 65 million. So, lot of thoughts on this one. Lot of thoughts. So, first, I'll get the obvious out of the way. Seeing Bobby Wagner in a Rams uniform is going to be kind of gross. Seeing him probably being on a team that has a lot of success within the division, probably my most hated team in the NFL, probably. I think that in recent times, maybe the 49ers have been more worthy of vitriol, but overall, if you take a look at my football watching career, I still think it's the Rams. Seeing him, my favorite player of all time, in a Rams uniform, no matter what else I can say about this situation, that's gross. That's not fun. And I'm not going to enjoy that. I'm going to say that straight up. I'll also say that the Rams, because they do have a pass rush in the form of Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd, they still are going to have a good pass rush, are going to be able to protect Bobby a little bit more and hide his deficiencies more than the Seahawks were able to these last several years. So I do expect Bobby to look a little less flawed with the Rams just because he's going to be playing with some really good players that he didn't have here. So I do think that Bobby Wagner is going to look a little better for them than he did for us these last couple years. Now, that being said, I still stand by what I've said before, that at the end of the day, Bobby Wagner is a pretty one-dimensional player at this point in his career. He's good against the run. He's good seeking out running backs and making tackles for short gains. He can do that. But when it comes to all the other aspects of playing football, he's lacking at this point. He can't cover. He doesn't rush the passer. Again, that's not going to matter as much for a team like the Rams. But at the end of the day, when you are a one-dimensional player, it's hard for me to look at a $50 million contract and say you're worthy of all that. So I do think this is an overpay. And it could be a big overpay because as much as Bobby is a heavily flawed player at this point, he's still good. He is probably going to rack up a lot of tackles. He can do that. We know for a fact that he can rack up tackles big time. So if the pay incentives are tied to tackle count, then he's probably going to be seeing at least most of that incentive-based pay. So I do think this is a significant overpay. There may be an easy out of the contract in like 2 years. A lot of these long-term big money deals do have that. Like what the Cowboys had with Amari Cooper, where, 5 years, $100 million is terrifying, but they actually got out of it with like 3 years left and very little dead money. So there may be something like that here. I don't know. We'll have to see the contract details in the coming days. But I would be shocked if Bobby was going to be guaranteed more than, I'd say like 20 million of that 50 million. That being said, the fact that the Rams can do something like this kind of goes back to my point that I made a couple weeks ago when they signed Allen Robinson. This is how you work the cap. The fact that the Rams were able to come up with any money at all for Bobby Wagner, that should be something that really casts a light on how easy it is to circumvent the salary cap for short-term gains. And again, I'm not saying the Seahawks should be doing that right now. What I'm saying is they should have been doing it in previous years when they actually had a quarterback, when they actually had a chance to make a deep run at things, when they were able to have good seasons, have success, despite not really doing those things, being a quote-unquote pay-as-you-go team. You don't think maybe overextending a little bit to hurt yourself in the future would have been worth maybe at least a trip to the Super Bowl at some point in Wilson's prime? I mean, again, the fact that the Rams were able to come up with the money to do this should tell you a lot. So we'll see how the contract breaks out. We'll see if it actually is an overpay. Again, it wouldn't shock me if in 2 years there's a relatively painless out for the Rams. I don't see Bobby Wagner playing another 5 years. No way, no how. Honestly, I don't know if I see him playing another 3 years. It might be like a couple of years and then he taps out. He certainly doesn't need the money. He already won a Super Bowl. He's done everything that he can do as a player outside of winning Defensive Player of the Year, which that's never going to happen at this point. He's not good enough for that. But we'll see how this has to shake out exactly. But I'll stand by what I've said about Bobby Wagner for a while now. He is good against the run. I do think he adds a lot of value in stopping the run. But he doesn't really add value anywhere else except maybe his leadership, which at the end of the day felt kind of hollow to me for these last several years because his leadership wasn't giving us a great defense. Our defenses over the last 4 years have been slightly above average overall. So it's not like he's going to single-handedly bail you out. I will say that linebacker was probably one of the areas of the Rams defense that had the most issues. Like, I can't even remember the dude's name, but the linebacker that the Rams had for their playoff run, I can't even remember his name off the top of my head, but I remember watching some of the Rams playoff games and just thinking to myself, this guy's terrible. So Bobby's probably better than that, although he is going to have a lot of the same problems in coverage. He is going to have a lot of the same issues with his speed at this point. But to me, this is almost certainly an overpay, unless this contract is just a giant mirage. Nevertheless, he's probably better than what they had last year, and it's still going to be gross watching. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think that there are a lot of different feelings to have right now with this, right? Like, you can be irritated that one of the greatest players in Seahawks franchise history is going to be playing for a division rival. And you can acknowledge the fact that he probably is better than the Jag they had out there last year. And you can also be annoyed at the fact that you're seeing the Rams once again show the salary cap is easily manipulated by signing another big money player. But you can also acknowledge the fact that this is probably going to be an overpay, and he probably is going to offer limited value to the Rams, even though I think it will be non-trivial. All right, that's about it about this one. Not exactly the news I wanted to see, but I'm not exactly throwing a fit about this one. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll see you guys later on. Peace out. Go Hawks. Stream tonight with the Hawks Nest, 6 o'clock. Come check it out. See y'all later.